What if you and your partner have very different needs about play parties? What you want to express, what you want to experience? It can be a challenge. What do you do? I'm Cathy Martilli from theintimacydojo.com.
I'm Andi Cortland from levelupsex.com.
I'm Raj, I'm married to Andi.
And you guys are kind of in this place, so I appreciate you being willing to share. Like, what do you do when one person wants to dive into the middle and have sex with everybody, and the other and one person either doesn't really enjoy the energy there or wants to play with one person at a time?
Yeah.
And I appreciate you being willing to share the vulnerability, because at least in the sex positive community, I sense that it seems to me that a lot of people think that everybody would want to just jump into the party and play. And I love that you're willing to share that, hey, that's not my self-expression.
Yeah.
I love play parties. I came to San Francisco and I was like a kid in a candy store. It was finally a place where I could be my full sexual self and not be shamed for it, and feel surrounded by other people who also identify as queer-poly-kinky sluts, and say, oh my god, you too? Fuck yeah, welcome to the family! Hey, come to this party. Hey, come to that party. Oh my god, guess what I just tried? And it was great. I finally felt like I was home. But the thing is, that's not Raj.
Yeah.
And I would always say, so here's the thing, whenever I'm dating or sleeping with other people, or whenever I'm in any social event, I always end up talking about my husband, because he's awesome, and he's a really important part of my life. And I like talking about people who are awesome and who are an important part of my life. So I would be at these play parties and say, oh my god, I just moved here and I love it, but I can't wait until my husband moves here because he's super awesome, and I can't wait for all of you guys to meet him because you're totally gonna love him. So as soon as he started coming to San Francisco more regularly, I said, oh my god, I have to bring him to all the parties so he can meet all the people. And then, as you can imagine from the introductory question in this video, that didn't quite pan out.
I would say that was a disaster.
Yeah, or that. It was a disaster. True story.
Can you tell us about the disaster? Are you willing to share?
Oh yeah. So basically, whenever I went to play parties, it was just like stepping into an alien culture for me. It was an extremely hard time for me because I mean, obviously, we've already talked about this. I am not that sexually person. I don't feel always like jumping into bed with a bunch of people. Part of it is just, like a lot of people who grew up in very conservative cultures. I grew up in India. There's a lot of sexual shame that's still hidden between us, in our heads. And definitely, I know that's true in my case. And being able to work through that is very important. Partly, it's also just the level of desire you have and the level of communication.
The type of expression. I know I feel shame when I go to play parties. Like, it comes up. It's just part of the culture.
It comes up.
And I've had really good times. Like, that's part of my self-expression versus it just doesn't sound like that's a good expression.
Yeah, so partly it was just like, it was a feeling of, these are people that she's friends with, so I should be, I should support her. This is not.
And everybody else is having fun, why aren't I?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So initially it was something since something like that's, if I want to support Andi, then I should be able to go to these parties and have fun. But soon enough, after going to a few of them, I realized that I wasn't having fun at them. This was not the right environment for me.
I appreciate your self-awareness. Hey, this isn't working for me.
It was a very difficult decision or thing to say, because that's what I felt like I was supposed to be like. That I had to be, in order to be a supportive spouse, as well as, be a fun person, I had to enjoy these parties, but I wasn't enjoying them. And so I made a decision eventually that I'm not going to go to sex parties. And that has been great for me for sort of being true to myself. It has felt right for me. However, the challenge there is that sex parties tends to be a very default way of people in the sex positive communities to connect to each other. So that can be a little bit isolating. When I meet somebody who's in a sex positive community or who is in an open relationship who I'm interested in, the first thing I'll get from them is, hey, let's meet at this play party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really go to play parties. And they're like, what? What's wrong with you? And
that just doesn't feel right for you.
It doesn't feel right for me. And then I'm like, I have to explain that I have decided not to go to play parties because I don't feel comfortable there, and I'm more interested in meeting up one-on-one with people. That works sometimes, but that doesn't work other times.
And you also like very traditional dates. You like coffee and dinner and
so it's a decision that it first felt right for me, but it also definitely affected my social life.
Yeah, and I can understand that because like a lot of play parties, voyeurism is participation. It's okay just to go to watch, but if the whole energy of it doesn't feel right to you, then that community isn't a place that you're gonna connect that kind of event.
Yeah, and it's not to say that that may not change in the future, but it's important to remember that for other couples and partners who are in this kind of situation, that different people are at different levels of comfort.
And it's all okay.
Yeah, it's all okay. It's the analogy I like to make is like if I'm a dancer. I dance Argentine tango, and it's like it's a difference between somebody who's a good dancer and not so good dancer and just throwing them into a dance party and saying, hey, go dance.
Go play,
Yeah. So some people will take up to it very happily, and some will be like, I don't really want to dance. I'm just gonna like stay away. I don't like this with music very much.
Yeah.
So it's different for different people, and it's all okay.
Well, thank you for sharing that. What areas of your life don't work for you? Like just being aware of them. It may not be play parties. It might be something entirely different. It might be a regular party or a bar or whatever it is. Just being aware of what works and doesn't work for you in a moment is really powerful because then you can communicate it and take care of your needs and let your partner know so they can plan around.
Totally.
So, love to hear. Leave comments below.